All right, it seems like there's a natural lull in the conversation, so let's have a start. A big welcome to everybody. Thank you very much for coming today. My name is Laura, and I live inside the regeneration zone in phase one. The purpose of today's event is to elect people onto the Ladywood Unite Executive Committee. We also have two guest speakers. Jeff Bell is here today. Hello, Jeff. Jeff lived through Berkeley Group's last regeneration in London. It's very important that we hear from Jeff because he has a lot of lessons about what it was like to live through Berkeley Group regeneration. Importantly, I understand that they wound up with fewer council and social homes than when they started, so we need to learn how to avoid something like that. We'll also hear today from Hugh from Little Ships. Hello, Hugh. He's come all the way here from Brighton to tell us how it will be possible to densify the area without any demolition. It's really important that we have an alternative plan and something that we can propose instead of mass demolition. Thank you to everyone who has made this event possible, especially the church for hosting us, all of the volunteers who've been running the event, doing check-ins, drinks, and so forth. Thank you to everyone who dropped leaflets to advertise this event, especially Trish and Jerry, who did all of phase 3 by themselves. There's far more homes in there than I realized. So let's get a sense of who's in the room. Could you please raise your hand if you live inside the regeneration zone? Thank you. Could you please raise your hand if you're in phase 1? Raise your hand if you're in phase 2. Raise your hand if you're in phase 3. Raise your hand if you're in phase 4. No one in phase 4. They're hoping they're not going to get knocked down. All right. How many people do we have that have come to support us from outside the regeneration zone? Thank you so much for being here today. We need all of the help that we can get. In terms of updates about the regeneration, we still don't know what will or will not be demolished. The developer agreement with Berkeley Group is not signed yet, to our knowledge. Thank you very much, Lee, for confirming that through a recent Freedom of Information request, and also bumping into our local councillor, who is largely absent. We do expect the residence charter data on Monday, and this is according to a Freedom of Information request from Danya. Thank you very much for making that. The residence charter is an important document because it will set out things like who has the right to stay in the area and who does not have the right. We also understand from our lawyers that the residence charter is potentially legally challengeable, so it's really important that we participate in the residence charter. It could give us things like the right to return and stay in the area, so we need to push to get that right. Of course, we don't know if the council will do what they say in terms of releasing the data on Monday, but please watch for that. There's been a lot of things going on in the background with Ladywood Unite. It's important to be aware that recently, while working on the charter, the council spoke to children about the demolition of their homes without parental notification or consent. This was extremely upsetting for both the children and the parents. When we spoke about this publicly on social media, the council sent us a threatening legal notice to remove the post. Then the deputy leader of Birmingham City Council refused to keep her planned meeting with us in an apparent punishment for raising legitimate concerns about speaking to children about the demolition of their homes. However, we will not be silenced or threatened. What the council did was not okay. Although the council have now agreed to get consent from children before speaking to them about the regeneration, they have failed to address the harm that this has caused us or to repair relations with us. Fortunately, this campaign is about so much more than dealing with our incompetent council, who consistently let us down, who keep us in unsafe and dangerous homes, affected by floods, leaks, fires, and damp, while at the same time threatening to demolish perfectly good ones. We have so many other things we are doing, hopes and plans. We want to set up a neighborhood forum. We want to start fundraising. Again, we have a legal strategy. We want to design and build new homes ourselves, working with other people like Hugh, who can support us in that. We're working with many other groups, including organizations like We're Right Here, Birmingham Fair Housing Campaign, the Ladywood Housing Involvement Board, Acorn, who's here today, thank you, and the Ladywood Ward Residents Association, and so many more. We are stronger by working together against injustice, abuse of power, and corruption. George has said, hopefully today can be a celebration of our wonderful community, its vast skills, diversity, and expertise. And I hope that we can learn from people today about what could be possible for us. With that, I'll hand over to Andy, who's a pastor of a church inside the Regeneration Zone and a longstanding member of the committee. He'll be interviewing Jeff about his experiences with Woodbury Down in London. And then we'll move on to hearing from Hugh about the alternative plan. And then we'll move on to voting for members of the committee. Thank you. Here. Yeah.
Is this mic working as well?
It is, yeah. If you want to perhaps hold this, perfect. And then, thank you. And then Marco.
Should touch this. Okay, Jeff, thank you so much for coming up and talking to us. Do you want to just give us an introduction as to who you are and what's been going on at Woodbury Down?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my name's Jeff Bell, and I live at a place called Woodbury Down. I'll just tell you a little story first of all about this Woodbury Down, because during the start of the regeneration, Berkeley Homes suddenly started saying, well, this place called Woodbury Park. And we said, we've never heard of Woodbury Park. So no, it's a marketing tool. We are now marketing Woodbury Down as Woodbury Park. Because who wants to come and live in a place called Woodbury Down? They argued this. And we kept going to meetings and referring to Woodbury Down. Because we've been in the Woodbury Down for 50, 60, 70 years. And they kept calling it Woodbury Park, right? So every meeting, we were saying Woodbury Down. And eventually they said, all right, they call it Woodbury Down. And they then produced a big logo called Woodbury Down. And they were very proud of this. So the lesson there, small lesson, is that if you insist, if you fight, if you stand up and say, this is what we stand for, sometimes you can win. So that was why it's still called Woodbury Down, even though they say, well, call it Woodbury Park, we live with more houses. But well, this is our heritage. We have lived here for a long. So anyway, I became the chairperson of the Woodbury Down Community Organisation about 12 years ago. Now, the Woodbury Down Community Organisation was set up as the voice of the residents in Woodbury Down once the regeneration agreed. And Woodbury Down Community Organisation was and remains funded by the local council. And they also, funding means they supply us with a sort of shop where we can meet and so on and so on. And they also supply us with a half-time worker. So we established the organisation and we are run on a democratic basis, i.e. our board is elected every year, and the board is elected by a representative body in which every 2 blocks is represented by 2 residents. So they have open meetings voting for residents who then come to the board, and the board then elects executive and a chair and so on. So that's the way we're sort of structured. So it's quite a sort of democratic way of running the organisation. So that's me.
That's for online, and that's
Right,
in the
so,
room,
right.
so-
So, I mean, that's what, so I was chair for about 7 or 8 years. Then suddenly, we had 2 grandchildren coming along. So I gave up being chair because I decided that I wanted to spend more time with my grandchildren.
Fair enough.
Yes, so it's a,
So the situation in Woodbury Down was that you have faced a regeneration project. Now,
Yeah.
just tell us when it started.
well, the idea, the sort of, the sort of way that started is that the estate was surveyed and it was decided that it couldn't meet the decent home standards, which were then the sort of government legislation. And so something happened. Something had to happen. There was a survey done whether it was possible to refurbish or regenerate. And the judgment of that was that the majority of homes were in such a poor state that they couldn't be refurbished. And I think most people on the estate accepted that and agreed to it because we were living in houses where, you know, where the situation was sort of almost semi-slums. I mean, the estate had been built in the sort of post-war and by the sort of 1880s, 1890s, sort of at the sort of 1990s, it had sort of come into a state here, this repair. So anyway, so that was established. So at that time the council didn't have any money to regenerate or refurbish the estate itself.
That's familiar.
Yeah,
Council with no money.
because government funding for this. So what they decided to do, they decided to make an agreement with a developer, in this case Barclay Homes.
So that's the connection between
That's
us
right,
and you. We've
that's
got
right.
the same developer.
That's right. That's right.
Potentially in the.
That's right. So it's, and I mean, their idea was that they would that that they would more than double the number of homes on the estate, and that 60% of those homes would be private, and the profit from the private homes would be help subsidize the homes for the sort of council tenants, or what became the ex-council. And the council tenants would become tenants of a housing association, which was Notting Hill Genesis, or so it became. So that started in the plans. The first plans were drawn up in 209.
2009.
Yes.
Yeah.
A second plan emerged in 2014, which was the second master plan. The first master plan was 2009. The second master plan was 2014. By that time, some houses had been built. And we're just finished the stage of the third master plan. So this is an important thing.
So are they producing a master plan for every phase?
Yeah, no. They are producing a master plan for 8 phases, but the master plan changes. And then within this, there's a plan for each phase, right? So the way it is organized is that there is a design committee which is set up, right?
This by Barclay
Yeah,
Homes?
well, it's in partnership between Barclay Homes and the council, but
Okay.
we have actually places on this committee, right? We have got 6 people on it.
Okay.
At the moment. So we discuss the design committee. Barclay Homes draw plans and then they say, what do you think? You know, and sometimes they listen to people there and sometimes they don't, right?
Is there any rhyme or reason to when they listen or they don't?
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, the Barclay Homes have always made it very clear, and when you ask them, they sort of say this and sort of make it clear. I said, well, I once asked them, what's your
what's your primary purpose to come to this state? And what is your priority? And they said, our priority is to make enough profit, to make this development viable. This is what I mean. Viable is a sort of code word for profit. Yeah, and I mean, so the survival is 20% overall, right? Property cost 20%. And so, for instance, you put viability, or what you call viability, above, say, what the needs of the community are. They said, yes, that's right, we do. They were
So
quite
they're straight up about that.
That's right.
Yeah.
They were quite open about that. Mind you, the person who said that sort of rather let the cat out of the bag, and she was sacked a couple of years afterwards. She said that, but so I mean that was their plan. So at the moment we have had 3 phases completed. So the whole regeneration changed between the first phase and the second phase and the third phase. And now, for the first time, we have found out that there will be less social homes built than there was at the very start. And this is the fact that there are twice as many homes being built. So in the regeneration as a whole, from the first plan, after the first master plan, there is 1,000 additional private homes or shared ownership homes being built, and 200 less social homes being built.
So from the first plan that they put out, there's been significant changes.
Yeah. So this is the thing. I mean, plans keep changing, right? And if they don't, so they say, well, it's sort of time to sort of change our plans because our viability level has fallen. And if you read the regeneration, if you read their annual reports, you will find them saying, and this is development after development, we have come back and got more houses than we originally asked for off the planning committee. Right?
But not social or affordable.
That's right.
Yeah.
So not sort of social. So I mean, this is a thing they sort of constantly do. And
so one of the questions I'm going to want to ask you later is, how have you engaged with that, and where particularly have you had success in challenging what Barclays have put forward, challenging the changes that they're proposing, where the community haven't been happy with it? What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, we have. I mean, let me say this. First of all, as far as the regeneration concerns and the new build, right? Most people who move into the new build, and that includes me. I had a couple of times we moved into sort of new build 12 years ago. I was one of the first people moving in. Most of her are very happy with the homes. Most of the sort of council, the ex-council, we're quite happy with the new home. The standard of building has been quite good, but the sort of deal which, if you like, the non-council tenants have had is sort of less worse because they do not have the right to return. So this is the first. I mean, the first and most significant thing which tenants got was, which council tenants got, was the right to return. Right now, this is lasted until basically very recently. And although the right to return is still being stuck to, the new rents for the houses which have just been built is in some cases 100% higher than the rents people were sort of paying previously, which meant although they might have the theoretical to return to their to move to a new build, right, they can't afford it. Right, or their sort of service charges are too much. So it's now run into sort of trouble from this, and there's a lot of discussion going on. Nevertheless, the right to return was something which was a success. The other thing, which was that the whole process would be participated in and overseen by this design committee on which tenants had a sort of right to have a say. So we were sort of recognized as a partner in this. And indeed, for some times, Berkeley Homes used to boast that this is a community-led regeneration, right?
Do you agree with Berkeley?
Well, to an extent, some of the things, I mean, we won, I mean, we used to win various things. I mean, let me give, again, a small example of what happened. They came and they wanted the whole estate, the whole of the new estate to be open plan, which meant the sort of kitchens, there'd be no separate kitchen. And we said, but the people don't want that. Right? So how do you know that people don't want that? Because we've sort of talked to people who live here. And they went back, okay, they agreed to do a survey because they were convinced that everybody wanted it. So they did a survey and discovered that that most people, a majority, didn't want open plan. So they then dropped open plan, right? Well, they didn't drop it, but it meant that only 50% of new homes were sort of open plan. So that's the sort of thing we have won.
Well, you've got wins,
yeah. So I mean, we have, and we also won the right that in every new home, children over 12, I think it was, would have the right to their own bedroom, right? So again, that was a thing which very few communities involved in regeneration have actually won. So we won through that as well. We also won something which was significant. You see, Woodbury Down is overlooking reservoirs, but it's also overlooking a main road. And we found at the start of the regeneration that the private homes got homes overlooking the reservoirs, while you know what comes next, the council homes had it overlooking the main road. So we said, well, henceforth we want equal shares, and that 40% of the best views should go to council tenants. And so they've agreed to that too, you know. So these are things we have won by sort of hard work, by arguing very strongly, by representing the people, and by sort of talking to sort of people.
I think it's probably important to state that just because this has happened at Woodbury Down doesn't mean to say that it will happen with us.
No.
But we are getting some good tips from Jeff here, and it's worth taking note. And in our own campaigns and our own fights, we need to, you know, hear what's been successful.
You see, the thing was that, I mean, lots of talk about, lots of people like Barclays talk about consultation.
We've heard that word.
And I mean, we said that we are not interested in consultation, because consultation means you let us talk, but then you don't listen to us. You know, I mean, that's it. So I mean, consultation. So we made that clear. We want to move forward, and we got a partnership agreement with Barclays Homes that we should all aim to move forward by consensus, right? Which they're now trying to back down from. But I mean, for a while, that actually happened. That actually worked.
How did you go about getting that?
Well, it's sort of funny. What happened? They wanted to build a tar block, which hadn't been planned, which wasn't in the first master plan. So this was going to be a separate application to build a tar block. And we said, no, we're going to oppose this if you don't make certain agreements with us, right? And they got very worried about this because they thought if we would oppose it at the planning committee, they might lose it, right? Because at sort of that time, we'd agreed to sort of everything, more or less. So we said, no, we want something in return for agreeing to this. And so they drew up, or we sort of drew up with Barclays, a memorandum of agreement, which later evolved into a partnership agreement, which gave us, which established this principle of consensus working. course, if consensus isn't agreed, then eventually, right, well, the agreement we then got out of that, if consensus isn't agreed, it would essentially go to the mayor of Hackney, who would then decide what was going to happen.
Was that part of the agreement?
Yeah,
That he
that's
would have
right.
to decide?
It would go to this organization called the Round Table, on which the council, the housing association, and ourselves and Barclays sat, right? And this was chaired by the mayor. So although the consensus thing could, in the final analysis, be overturned, nevertheless, that was a principle which was worked on for a long time, and it's only sort of recently that sort of both Barclays and the council have said we want to renegotiate the partnership agreement, and then indeed, in sort of practice, it's been broken quite a lot in the last couple of years.
Can I just ask you about the committee that you talked about with the chair of? Obviously, Ladywood Unite, we're in a process of evolving and developing, and that's part of what we're about today. How did your organisation come about, and how did you get credibility with the council?
Well, the actual council set us up. The council set us up. They sort of funded us because the sort of council wanted to hear what the local residents' view on the regeneration. Once the regeneration had been agreed in principle, the council wanted to give the local people a means of making their voice heard. So we were actually set up, and the sort of constitution was discussed, how we work, how we sort of operate, how it was a democratic body. And this was agreed by the sort of council. The council then funded us to a sort of small extent. So to an extent, this was something which the sort of council. And once the council said, we recognize you as a sort of tenant's voice, then Barclays had to do that, so the housing association do it. So, I mean, fair play to the council at the start, but I mean, that was part of saying, well, you can't knock down an estate of, you know, of this size and say that the people have no say on sort of what's following this. So as I say, I mean, once we were in that position, we could sort of argue, and I think it became quite clear. I mean, certainly in the early days, I mean, we were almost for Barclays at the estate. We were almost for Barclays a sort of unofficial design consultant, because we could tell them what was working. Right? We said, I mean, for instance, they built windows which you couldn't open, right? It was very strange things. And so things like this, and there was a lot wrong with sort of at the start with things like the doors, the sort of sewerage, and we could sort of take them this and say, this isn't working, right? This thing is wrong, this thing's wrong. So they would then change it. They'd have been lessons learned. I mean, you know, fair enough, sort of Barclays sort of did this. So, and instead of them seeing us all the time as some big sort of nasty sort of people to be avoided, they looked and said, oh, well, these people can actually talk some sense sometimes, you know. So it's, I mean, there was for a while this genuine partnership working, and I don't dispute that there was. But I mean, that has sort of is not really how the situation has evolved since the earlier days.
Can we've had some questions specifically asked. I wonder if we could sort of have 30-second answers on a number of these questions, and then come back to some of the bigger questions about lessons learned and that we can really benefit from. Take you back to 2009. A lot of us, even to people today, only recently finding out about the regeneration. Do you remember how you felt back in 2009, just so that people can get a sense of connecting with you? Back in,
I mean, we were told, we were sort of visited by local council officials about the regeneration. When sort of we were sort of told this, I was sort of generally speaking quite sort of pleased because the house we were living in,
and just to be clear, you were a tenant.
yeah, I was sort of council tenant, right? And because the sort of council homes we were sort of living in were in poor condition, and the idea of moving into a totally new home was something which I think probably the majority of people under the under the right to buy legislation. They weren't, because they did not have the right to return, or so we had. So when we could stay in the area, in an area we all liked, and we were all quite so proud of, but we would have new homes. So I mean, unlike some sort of places where this sort of happened to, I think majority of people have, a majority of council tenants certainly have welcomed it, and probably the major criticism is that the original timetable hasn't been stuck to, and it's taken too long. And we're still only now, from 209, we're still only finishing phase 3, and there's 8 phases to be finished. So we won't be finished now on 2040 or something. And by that time, the principle of the right to return will be more or less finished, because a lot of the people will be dead by then, so they won't have the right. Although, to an extent, they actually hope to sort of move. Most people who want to be moved are willing to be moved within the next 10 years.
Again, a quick answer. What sort of the 3 phases you've had, what sort of level of demolition is that?
Well, everything is going to be knocked down. Everything is going to be knocked down. All the homes are going to be knocked down and sort of rebuilt. So, as I say, about the sort of 3/8 of the way through that.
Out of interest, did they tell you that nothing had been agreed as to what was going to be knocked down before the partnership agreement? Because that's what they keep telling us. Well, we haven't agreed with what's going to be knocked down. Nothing, no commitments yet.
I mean, no. I mean, the thing is, it was always going to be all the homes were going to be knocked down, because
they were clear about that.
Because the homes didn't meet decent home standards. involved in that process. So that is a very difficult thing to actually keep, keep. Again, we know about what we want, we know about the area, we know about the community, and you have to listen to us for that.
Jeff, I've got 6 minutes left and I just want to get this microphone out. Laura, I wonder if you wouldn't mind helping me just running this backward and forward. If I take it to whoever's got the hands up.
Great, thanks. We'll start with Jerry.
First of all, thanks for coming and giving us a chat and giving us some insights. You keep mentioning leaseholders. What about freeholders? We're freeholders. Not leaseholders.
Well,
So you've got to use this, sorry.
no, I mean, as I said, the estate was basically split into two groups of people: council tenants and leaseholders. There weren't any sort of freeholders on the estate. I mean, obviously, there were various buildings. I know you've got things like churches and shops and so on like this, right? But I mean, they all went. So it was sort of, as far as the residents were concerned, there was either council tenants or leaseholders.
But there were a couple of private homes, right? And they're trying to knock them down now.
Yeah, I mean, there is a bunch of private. There is a sort of row of private homes, right? And they plan to knock them down now, but they're going to find it quite difficult to actually do that because those homes themselves are in quite good conditions and have been refurbished by the people who actually own those homes. And so the sort of local council have this promise that no homes anywhere in the Hackney will be knocked down if they're in good condition. So how they're going to get around that will be quite interesting to actually see. And that is because of consideration of the emergence of the green agenda, which wasn't certainly there at the start of regeneration.
Other questions?
Just a huge thank you to you again, Laura, for today and the support of Ladywood Unite and the whole team, everybody coming here today. It makes a big difference. On right to return, just very briefly, I'm getting reports from Perry Bar. You might be aware that's in an absolute state because of the failed athletes village. There are apparently people from Ladywood regeneration area being offered flats in Perry Bar to move over to take them out of Ladywood. So if any you hear of any of that, please do let us know because it's important we keep a track on that. Is the right to reply, was it in your charter or was it a legal thing? Where did it come from? Because you specifically mentioned some people didn't have that right. So was it legal or in the charter? Or
It was a residence charter. And there was in that, yeah, there was in this. But as I say, that only applied to sort of council. And it sort of didn't apply to leaseholders, So the only, I mean, the other thing was, as I say, the agreement which was won was, for instance, not only would the people who were living in the old block have the right to return, but their children, especially obviously their grown-up children, would also have the right to their own flat. So, for instance, we were sort of living in a house with 3 grown-up children. So they were offered their own flat too, right? So that meant, for instance, one home, which we lived in the old estate, we could swap for 4 homes, right? For one each. I mean, basically, my 2 daughters decided to share that, but they got their own flat, or were promised their own flat in the new build. My son got his own flat in the new build, and then we got our own flat. So again, that was something which is very important, which we won. And again, I mean, I think in all of these things, if you're talking about your homes, you should use as sort of precedents for this. You say, well, if it was good enough or would be down, then we should sort of have it too. I mean, these are things.
We've got another question.
Thank you for coming. I'm just curious, how did they provide other homes for you while they were building new homes?
Right, yeah, you would, because we sort of moved, you would move to somewhere else in the old estate. So what basically happened is that we were one of our
flats from the first to be moved down. County council has applied for
that promise. He's not presented the council, but absolutely, it's a great question. Again, it's something that we need to work hard. And Ladywood Unite have been working really hard to try and get as much information out of the council. And I have to say, just quick hands up. Put your hand up if you've submitted a freedom of information request to the council. So, like a number of us have submitted freedom of information requests. Put your hand up if you were satisfied by the response that came to the council. Half. So let's say, I don't know, about 10, 12 people asking for information, and half of that, but half of one, a bit satisfied. And we just need to keep pushing and keep pressing the council and just trying to get as much as we can in terms of that information. Perhaps time for one more question, or?
Yeah. Does anyone live inside the zone who has a question? Yeah, well, just one more question, sorry, but Jeff will be here after.
I'm just curious about the role of the council in all this. Do you find the council is more on the resident side or Berkeley side? How did you find it?
Is the council more on the resident side or is it more on Berkeley's side?
I mean, that's a very difficult question. Basically, the aim of the council really for a long time has been to give up their responsibility for the air, right? They say they have got the money, they have finance. So they are naturally pleased if someone takes we can get. I mean, that's their sort of motivation. At the same time, obviously, they do not, there's such things as votes and crisis election to take place. They don't want, they don't want to be seen as selling out the local residents. So they sort of have this sort of 50-50. They sort of see themselves almost now these days as the people who try and get Barclays to listen to us, while at the same time generally backing Barclays. So, I think that's the way
Did you get help from the councillors or from the MP at all in this?
no, I mean, some of the actual local councillors, and again, these things is a way of actually support you, then the council, then those councils, and someone else.
Sure.
We should. The MP, we sort of had a MP who Dan Abbott was our MP. Well, no, she isn't anymore. Dan should probably. And if we ever went to sort of Dan, she would basically in support. At the same time, Dan Abbott is no longer our MP because the constituency border is changed and we're not in a ward. So
If we could just wrap up, Jeff.
yeah, that's basically.
Sorry.
So I mean, basically, sometimes they help and sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
You can only rely on yourself. I mean, that is the message. You can only rely on themselves. You know, I don't have to tell you that politics what they
I think we need to say and show it with a huge round of applause our gratitude to. I appreciate that there are probably a lot of more questions out there. Jeff will be around afterwards if you want to ask questions. Some of the members of Ladywood Unite as well perhaps have some information that may be able to help you from just the work that we've been doing up till now. But thank you so much, Jeff, and let's hand back over to Laura and forget your name.
Another round of applause. Yeah. We're going to hear now a few from English. You has traveled here from Brighton.
And we built once a railway station. That would be focused. There would be a series of towns, right? That's sort of midway, and those are. I mean, if when Ladywood made the decision to we could start.
Good afternoon. You've spoken to residents privately regarding privately owned properties, but you haven't mentioned what would happen to maisonettes.
So it's going to be a side by side basis. We're saying that when there's a group of homes appropriate for our approach, they just stay as they are. Because what we're making is that you can get 7,500, you get many, many more than 7,500 homes across all of Birmingham by using our approach and intensifying homes that can be.
With regards to the maisonettes, some of them inside the regeneration zone have had the tops taken off before. Do you think that's an approach that would be feasible in order to save the homes that are below?
Yeah, we're saying that lower rise maintenance could be built over the higher rise one, we leave alone. They need to demolish and build everywhere. But foreign house builders, their remit is to make profit by building many homes. They're focused on getting as many ground for the size of the house. What we're saying is they don't have to demolish homes. Maybe some of the homes that we're talking about would be much better. We're saying you can get all. This is about solving housing crisis. Solve the housing crisis. Unused land owned by Birmingham City Council across the whole of Birmingham. They're probably the biggest landowner council in the whole of Europe.
Great. Other questions for Hugh? In that case, oh yeah, Robert?
We've got large numbers of homes, the maisonettes, the tower blocks, in buildings which I think could probably be refurbished. The tower block I used to live in was refurbished in the 1990s, and it was fine until the council stopped maintaining it. What would you be involved in refurbishing them and bringing them back up to standard rather than demolishing them?
The work we're doing around the UK in for private developers, we're building homes of small blocks and small office blocks. What we're trying to do at the moment is get government funding in order to do a case study on a tower block. As it happens, there are no private owners of tower blocks. They're all council. And refurbishing those is going to be one of the key considerations. At the moment, they're scrabbling around the edges, trying to work out a cladding option. Approach where you keep the carbon, the concrete, embedded carbon in the concrete, but then a massive refurbishment, breaking everything. That is possible. That could happen for all the tower blocks, and they then become a fabulous place to live. People really want to go to.
Let's give, I think we have to move on now. Thank you so much, Hugh, for your passion for the area, for coming all the way here from Brighton. A big round of applause for Hugh, please. Thank you. If you would like to know more about this, please sign up to the Little Ships website and we can meet again and discuss some of the details of this alternative plan. For now, we're going to hand on now to the voting event. Sorry. We just put it in the large regeneration chat. Do you have access to that? We'll send it to you after. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm going to hand over to Leanne now, who's going to organize the voting for the Ladywood Unite Executive Committee. Thank you very much, Leanne, for doing this. Leanne lives outside of the regeneration zone, so she's independent, but she is going to facilitate the voting. So thank you. Handing over to you.
Do you want me to sit up there because people have got to come up?
You can just stand here, I think.
Standing, okay.
Yeah, great.
Okay, cool. Hello, everybody. Don't know what I'm doing, so please forgive me. We are, no, definitely not. I'm a housing activist and I'm proper on side with you lot. It was amazing to hear what you had to say, and you also. Great privilege to be here, and you know, you're amazing. So yes, I'm filling the vote in today. So the part one is these people do live, work or worship inside the regeneration zone and have put themselves forward. And they're all coming up at once, yeah? Is that right? Yeah. So if you can all come to the front, do you know who you are? Do you want me to say who you are?
Read out the name.
Okay, so we've got Layla, we've got Danya, we've got Andy, we've got Stephen, Eggy, we've got Eunice, we've got Robert, and we've got Lee, we've got George and Laura. Oh yeah, and anyone else at the same time, okay. So if there's anybody else who lives, works or worships inside the regeneration zone who wants to join the committee, could you also come up? Hello. Did we have anybody else come up that's not on the list? You got anybody else? Did you? Okay, so that's the next one. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. So we're just going to take it from the list, and then the people that have come up, yeah, not on the list. So you're going to have a couple of minutes each to speak about 1 minute each. So 1 minute each. I need a clock. 1 minute, 1 minute each to speak about why you want to do this, please. And first of all, we're going to go on my list and then come to the people that have also lovely, amazingly come up to the front. It's fabulous. So first of all, we've got Layla Ali for treasurer. Hello, Layla. Yeah, you're going to need you.
Okay, on the first one. Okay. Hi guys, my name's Layla. I have been living in Ladywood for 14 years now, going on 15. I am one of the younger candidates, but I do believe obviously that Ladywood has a very growing youth population that we do need to represent as well. I would like to be the treasurer for this campaign. I've recently graduated and got a degree in accounting and finance. Don't test me on anything, but I'm hoping obviously to gain experience with this role, but also I have managed finances on like a volunteering basis for other community organisations. So yeah, I'll be more than happy to represent all of you and essentially gain funding to do what Ladywood Unite really wants to achieve, and to obviously involve you in community events free of charge as well. We want to make sure that everyone is able to engage and be involved in anything at no extra cost to yourselves.
Thank you. So we'll be voting on individual. Thank you. That's amazing. Yeah. So we're going to vote individually. So yes. So I'm asking you all. Are we all in favour of Layla being our treasurer? Raise your hand. Any against? Cannot see an against. And any abstentions? I'll get the hand of this. Sorry. Okay, so next we've got Danya, who is standing for Joint Press and Media Officer and Joint Secretary. All right. Okay. Do you want me to hold it down?
Yeah.
I can do that. Yes.
Hello, everyone. I have been living in Ladywood for 8 years, but I moved into the region zone just kind of a year ago. I had no idea about the regeneration. I walked in with my boxes, very happy about buying my new home, only to find that it's going to be demolished. Thanks to Laura, who happens to be my neighbor, my blessing in disguise. And ever since, I've been actively involved in the unofficial Ladywood Unite committee. I have been helping with posting a lot of things on Twitter, Instagram, etc. And I do attend a lot of meetings. So I would like to put myself forward for a joint role of secretary and press and media officer, along with, don't want to break the suspense, with someone else who's coming soon. Yeah.
So much. Shall we do a little swap? Yeah. Oh, very cute. Thank you. Thank you. So, we're gonna raise our hands again, all for Dania. Yes. Okay, thank you so much. Any against? Okay, what do you, and abstentions? Yeah. Okay, we're going to move on. Next one is executive member Andy Northcutt. We've heard from you, Andy. That's
Hi, I'm Andy. I'm the pastor of Church Alive. We own the building, the small little bungalow behind the community centre, which obviously is at risk. I joined the group when it started in 2023 and have just been working as much as I can. Don't have loads of time, but what time I have, I've been able to just provide a bit of support. I think I bring the ability to kind of look at ideas and what's going on, and perhaps provide perhaps a bit of a critical, positive critical eye, which people say they've found helpful. And so with a positive attitude and a real desire to be kind and polite, particularly dealing with people who are difficult. I think that's one of the things that I bring. Yeah, that's me. Sorry.
well, this is shaping up to be a really good, committee. So again, hands up if you're for Andy. Brilliant, thank you. And against? And any abstentions? You're in. Woo! Right, next one is we have Eggy. Who's Eggy? Hello, Eggy. Pleased to meet you.
My name is Stephen Anderson. A lot of people know me as Eggy. I've lived in Ladywood all my life, and I've been part of this group for the last 2 years. And I know we've got an hard battle on our hands, but we're willing to fight. And I'm one of these. I'll say it as it is, whether they like it or not. And all I can say is, if I'm voted on, I'll give 100% commitments to try sort this thing out as best as we can, and hopefully get treated as human beings. Because the way we are at the moment, we've been treated like animals. So we've all got rights, and I'm willing to put my voice forward to help this regeneration, or hopefully stop it. Okay.
So Mr. Anderson is standing for team member and executive member. So we're all going to put our hands in the air if we want Eggy on the crew. And against? And any abstentions? Thank you. We're moving on now. Oh, sorry, I've canned it. I don't know why. Anyway, we're moving on now to Mr. Abdul Ali, or AKA Eunice. Mr. Eunice wants to stand for community organizer, a man after my own heart. There we go.
So my name is Eunice. I past 11 years. I'm a homeowner. So I'm also with the communities. I like Ladywood, and I like the community. They're very nice and helpful. I'm always campaigning with George, Torah. Sometimes I help with Caritas. Sometimes we go to the church and speak to the old communities. So we've been down for so many times for a baptism. So, but our children is who's been let down as well in a way. So, Pangam City Council themselves are not organized like we are. So we are not. I'm not leaving my house without a fight or a great fight. So I wish everybody communicate with us and help us, and then we will help as well anyway. So we are here for you lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So we're voting again. So we're voting for Eunice, and please could you put your hands in the air? And if you're voting against, any abstentions? Thank you so much. Next, we have Robert Brenchley for executive member.
Sorry about squatting on the table like this. I'm recovering from pneumonia and I can't actually stand up for very long. I've lived around here since 1987. I helped to run the church here. I was in the makings for the last regeneration in the 1990s. And back then, the council was saying that they'd learned the lessons of the 1950s and 60s, and they wanted to work with us. They were going to do it with us. They weren't going to do regeneration to us anymore. And here we are in the 2020s. We're right back where we were 80 years ago, with the council airily coming in, trying to do regeneration to us. I was absolutely shocked, like I expect most of you were, to hear that they wanted to clear fell the whole area, demolish the church and replace it with secular community space, which would destroy the congregation, destroy the entire community, gentrify it, and build housing that we're not going to be able to afford. And if you replace social housing with unaffordable housing, then you are making the housing situation, the housing crisis worse. And there's been so much of this. They have destroyed council housing virtually, and we can all see the result. People like my daughter hanging on by their fingernails in housing they can barely afford, but they can be kicked out of any time the landlord chooses. So my concern is to make sure we have a voice in what happens in our own area. We're not an invasive species, we're the people that live here, and ensure, if possible, that we at least preserve the council housing, and if possible, add to it rather than taking away from it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We don't mind you sitting on the table, and we hope you get better soon. Yes, so we're going to vote for Robert again. All in favour? All against? Any against? And any abstentions? Thank you very much, Robert. We're going to keep it really to 1 minute now because it's like getting late, and everyone's got to get home at some point. So we've got Lee. I don't know, Lee. Hello, Lee. And Lee is executive member.
Hi everyone, I'm Leah. I moved to Birmingham in 2018 and then moved to my house in Ladywood in 2020. I enjoy living where I am. It's easy for me to walk into work. I work in the city centre for HSBC as a department manager. I would like to be a member of the committee to work with everyone standing here today to represent the people of Ladywood to get what you want, what you deserve for how you want to live in Ladywood.
Thanks, Lee. Again, we're going to vote. So all in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you so much, Lee. So next up, we've got George Smith, is co-chair. Hello, George.
Really brief. I've been living in Ladywood for nearly 32 years now. I'm a retired head teacher. I see the damage the council is doing and the wrongs the council is doing. That's something we've been challenging for the past 18 months. And we've got regular letters have been written. We are challenging absolutely everything at the moment because it's not right. We've put people, Ladywood come first. Everything else comes second, and that's something we absolutely believe in.
Thanks, George. So we're going to vote. All in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you very much, George. And then last from the names that I have on my list, but no means least, the formidable Laura.
Thank you. My name is Laura. I moved to Ladywood in 2021. Like many of you, I found out from the news that my home was likely to be demolished. I wasn't sure that anyone else cared. Obviously, we all care a lot. I love Ladywood. I love its spirit. I love its character. I love the fact that people have lived here for generations. They have roots, and I want to help protect that. Thank you very much for your support.
So again, all in favour? Woo woo! Any against? And any abstentions? Thank you. So yes, but how do, it says committee, they just introduced themselves and they're part of the committee, they're not got a role or anything. Executive member, hello. What's your name? Where'd you come from? 1 minute. Please give us your name.
My name is Abba Bugalet Runa. In short, they call me Abba. And my friend Yunus call me Abbas. Okay. From day one, I have been here from behind the screen. But I felt for my people, I have to be a front voice. So today, when anyone who wants to be, up to now I have been listening. Because of Yunus, I have the information. And also my son, who is moved back now home after a while. He graduated and he really wanted to be. He was writing on his agenda. He's in London. Don't miss it, Dad. Don't miss it. Record for me. His brothers are recording. So he's a media man. He wants to be involved in photography and things like that. So I have to be here to help and to do everything I can.
Abba. I'm just going to shorten your name, please. If you're going to vote on Abba being an executive member today, so put your hands in the air, Abba. And any against? And any abstentions? Thank you so much. And your name?
My name is Beverly Kettle, and I didn't want to do anything because I've got so much to do, but I felt like I had to do something because I'm representative here. Okay, so I've been in Ladywood since 1984. I was moved here because the council moved me here, and I find out they're not people who tell the truth. So they moved me here, promised me something, but in the end I have to fight for myself to get it done. Bought my house, got my house, and my children growing up here. I got seen across here people who I know and recognize. And what I'm saying here today, I didn't want to be up here, but I've come up here now because I'm looking to see how many people is here, and I'm here to represent voiceless. I'm from the church over the road, St. John's and St. Peter's, and the parishioners them there. So I'm here to represent people like me and for people who are not able to speak up for themselves, like the people who live on my road, they're elderly, they can't get here to meetings and they can't do anything. So that's it.
Well, it's a privilege to meet you, and I'm always inspired by people that feel compelled to come out and do this, you know, and it's absolutely amazing. So we get to vote. All for. Woo! All against? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you so much. Is that everybody? Yeah. So if you'd all like to take your places, and I'm sure the group will be engaging with some of you specifically afterwards that have come forward. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. I'm extremely moved by all of you lot. Amazing, thank you so much. So part two, these people do not live, work or worship inside the regeneration zone and have put themselves forward to support the residents affected by the regeneration. And this is great because, you know, residents need all the help they can get. So I would like to ask Lee, Marco, Alistair and Bilal to come up to the front, and anyone else who wishes to join, who does not live, work or pray outside of the regeneration zone in the room that wishes to, again, support the residents in this way. Fantastic. So first of all, I'm going to go to Lee, who is standing for Joint Press and Media Officer and Joint Secretary.
So, yeah, I've been part of the group since almost 2 years, just after Laura and George set up. I've got a big mouth, which helps get us into certain meetings and certain situations, so I'll keep using that. I am involved politically. That's not why I'm sort of standing today, but it gives me good access to councillors and information and so on. I'll keep offering that support. And yeah, also helping the secretary. I do a lot in press and media, so happy to keep there. We've had some great press coverage and great media coverage, and that really helps the campaign. And also sort of moral support. I keep banging on about things like well-being, mental health and switching off when you need to have a switch off. So I'll keep doing that for the team as well. Sure, I'm literally on the edge of the red line, so I'm committed because it's my community already. I've lived here since 2013. I'm a private renter, so it's a slightly different category. But it's about making sure people of the area are represented, because I don't believe our council or councillors listen. So it's about time that your voice was actually heard, and that we fight for what we want.
Thank you. I'm just going to, Julie? You're going to vote individually and move on to the next person. Yeah. So yes, so again, all in favour of Lee? Any against? And any abstentions? Thank you so much, Lee. Next, we're moving on to Marco, who's standing for advisory role on research, legal and documentation. Thank you, Marco.
Hi, this is Marco. So I'm an academic and associate professor in urban anthropology at the University of Birmingham. I've been involved in Ladywood Unite since October 2023. So I've been like looking all the documents onto page 600. So I look at the documents of the council, I look at the regulations. And so basically my role is to fact check and provide any information that can help Ladywood Unite formulate their strategies. I'm not a resident, so decision-making is for the residents. My job is to look all the documents and find as much as information as possible. It's a difficult job. Birmingham City Council is opaque. There's a lot of things that's going wrong, but then that's my job, is to look for all this information. Some cases also help for the legal strategies. I've been in touch with Leday, which is the human rights firm that now is involved in Ladywood. And so also connecting with lawyers, as well as some cases the media like The Guardian and so forth.
Thank you. So again, we're going to vote. So all in favour of Marco taking on this role? Any against? And any abstentions? Thank you so much, Marco. You are such a blessing. And next we've got Alistair. Alistair for executive member. Where are you? There you are. Thank you.
Hi, yeah, I live off the Hill Mall, renting at the moment. The main reason I'm involved is because it just makes me very, very angry what's being done to Ladywood. I think, to be quite honest, if they get away with it in Ladywood, there's no doubt that they're going to move to other parts of Birmingham. This is still, there's still very nice parts of this city, and we've got, it's still livable for ordinary people just about, but all the time we're being pushed further and further to the edge, I think. So one reason that I want to be involved as executive member is because I have a long history in this city, the last 20 years or so, of actually fighting different campaigns to try and keep things open, to try and stop the council shutting the day centres and old people's homes, and all the kind of things that they've been doing in the last years. And also calling for demonstrations and saying that people power is really important. I think it's really important to be visible when we're on the streets, because that puts a particular pressure on the council. It attracts a lot more media. They've got lots of people skilled in all kinds of things on the executive. One reason I want to stand is because I want really to get people out. I know we get terrible weather all the time with banners and actually sort of on the streets. So yeah.
Very much. So thank you, Alistair. All in favour? Any against? And any abstentions? Thank you, Alistair. We've got Bilal. Bilal? Bilal.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Bilal Hussain, and I stand before you today as a resident of the Ladywood constituency. I stand before you because I would like to become an executive member. I'm a criminal lawyer by background and also a social media marketing manager. And I've had connections with Ladywood Unite for about a year now. I think it's time that our council actually takes into consideration the views of its residents, as opposed of securing backhand deals with other investors for their own financial gain. I think now it's time that as a community, we stand up and tackle these issues face on, and I would like to be a part of that movement and advocate for you guys. Thank you.
So again, we're going to go through voting. So all in favour of Bilal being an executive member? Any against? And any abstentions? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we've got some extra people who are not on my list. That's amazing. I think we have 3 people. I'm going to go to the ladies first, if you don't mind. We're going to go to What's your name, sorry?
Reverend Tracy.
Reverend Tracy Brown, Executive Member.
Evening, my name's Reverend Tracy Brown and I'm the priest of St John's and St Peter's, which is on the road. It sits on that lovely little island on its own. And I would like to be an executive member because I'd like to be able to represent congregation members, those who can't get out of their homes to be a part of what's going on. But not only that, St John's and St Peter's Primary School, of which I'm a governor and an active member within the teaching of that school. Beautiful primary school, one form entry, packed to its hill, with some really, really incredible teachers that we don't want to lose to any other school because they're doing really well and stuff. It's important that I stand up here to represent the school as well as the congregation members at St John's St Peter's. Thank you.
And now to the vote. So all in favour? And any against? Any abstentions? So that's carried. Thank you so much, Reverend. Josephine.
Hi, I'm from Coventry originally, and I moved to Small Heath 8 years ago. I'm somebody that hates injustice to the core, and I found out in my hometown of Coventry, there's a nice pub called the Listen Tree, which was built in 1910, a grade 1-2 listed building, that developers just want to knock it down. I went to Coventry on the 6th of January to basically campaign against it. On the 5th of Coventry, on the 5th of January, I visited Coventry to walk around playing the song by the Specials, Ghost Town, and I was praying out loud and I wanted to get it noticed. A lot of people just froze. I prayed out loud about Ladywood, and I prayed out loud about the demolition in South Coventry, where nice 1950s shops are all going to be bulldozed to make way for luxury flats. I did not know about Coventry until about August. When it comes to Ladywood, this campaign was very quiet and within the borders of Ladywood, and I did not want this to be the case. I started going around Bordsby Green, Yardley, Ladywood.
Sorry.
I've sort of spread the word to lots of churches in Yardley, Ladywood, Ladypool Road Baptist Church know about what's been going on. They want to dive in and help. The Socialist Party that meets at Wellington want to jump in and help. The Friendship Centre, 399 Green Lane, they want to help. And Trinity Church, which is in Borsley Green, they want to help as well.
Thanks, Josie. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's a lot of work, Josie. Thank you so much. So we're going to move to a vote now. So all in favour of Josie being part of the executive committee? And any against? And any abstentions? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Tahir. Yeah.
Well, hello, I'm Takira. First of all, I want to say thank you for and I thought I wanted to say, for me, I've got lived experience in poor housing, so I keep that the reason that brought me here from the beginning to attending meetings. And I'm a really good networker. I've been volunteering for 8 years now in different community organisations. And one of them is retrofit Borsley, and they got money from the government to retrofit 700 homes. So they're your neighbours, and if they can do it, why can't I? And what I can bring in is actually bring those connections where there's actually been community success and try to bring that solidarity between community organisations. And like I said, I hope you can see yourselves in me, because there's one thing that I know what's really important in life is people. Thank you.
Thanks, Tahir. And so we're going to go to the vote. So we are all in favour? Yeah. Any against? And any abstentions? There we go. Thank you so much.
Thank
You
you.
can all sit down and give a big round of applause. Thank you, Laura.
All right, a big thank you to Leanne, and thank you everyone for coming today. It's fantastic to have such a great turnout. We have the church for the next half an hour or so. So please feel free to have a drink, network, snack, chat, and just give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you so much for your support. Sorry. Before you go, get to the city manager. Sorry, can we have a picture in the front? Everyone who's here, can you come up to the front for a picture, please? Sorry. Oh, I'm just looking around.